But we have 6-1 unbalanced court. 6 are nominated by the Democratic Party, and we have 1 rule of law justice that's nominated by the Republican Party. So it's very unbalanced.
And what are some of the things that really concerns you with Michigan's judicial system currently?
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are...
What would you like to tell our voters why it is important for them to vote and why you?
Okay, so we have a very unique system in Michigan. If you go to Ballotpedia and you look at how you need to vote on the Supreme Court race, I think it's the most important race because you can vote.
What is your feel and experience at this point?
Well, my message has been very warmly received. I think when I tell people that it's a 6-1 court, they go, what? They literally are shocked. I'd like our court to be more of an...
Your campaign talks about bringing balance to the bench.
Yes.
Throw some light on that, please.
All right. So, as I said before, we have a 6-1.
Judge Warren, thank you so much for joining Gold Media. Pleasure to have you on our show today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You know, we've been thinking about doing this podcast for a very long time. And by the way, on records, this is my first time ever sitting with a judge, acting judge, and I don't ever want to see you in your professional capacity or in the courtroom.
That's a pretty good idea, unless you serve as a juror.
Yeah.
Jury service is, some people think it's a real pain in the neck, but when they do it, they really enjoy it. So,
okay, I look forward to that.
Yes,
keep
your mind open in connection with being on a jury.
Perfect. But thank you so much for joining in. Judge Warren, for our listeners that are probably hearing your name for the first time, because you have always been in the public service, always been in the duty, doing the community services, never in that big limelight or like fancy podcasts or anything. So for our viewers, what is it that they should know about you and the race that you're running for? It is a critical, important race for every family in Michigan, and it impacts everybody. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so thank you so much. So I am running for Michigan Supreme Court. I'm currently an Oakland County Circuit Court judge. I've been on the bench for more than 23 years. I've tried over 400 jury trials. Our current court on the Supreme Court has 5 justices. Once you're on the court, you're called a justice. 5 justices who were never a judge until they got on the court. So I have more trial experience than the entire Supreme Court put together times 3. And those folks that are now on the court are not dedicated, I think, to the same principles that I am. And I'll explain that in a second. But we have a 6-1 unbalanced court. 6 are nominated by the Democratic Party, and we have 1 rule of law justice that's nominated by the Republican Party. So it's very unbalanced, and so we really need to bring some depth of experience to the court, as well as a different perspective to kind of break out of that groupthink that happens right now. And so I think I can bring that value to the Supreme Court.
Excellent. And what are some of the things that really concerns you with Michigan's judicial system currently?
Well, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to establish new government, laying its foundation in such principles and organizing its powers in such forms of them so seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Those words from the Declaration of Independence were revolutionary in 1776, and they remain revolutionary today, and they define for America our founding first principles of the rule of law, unalienable rights, limited government, the social compact, equality, and the right to alter or abolish an oppressive government. And those founding first principles are now put into our Constitution. We have a separation of powers checks and balances, federalism, whole structure set up to preserve our freedoms and liberties and equality. And we really need to have justices that are committed to that understanding of the purpose of government and understand the correct role of our judges. So we have three branches of government. We have the legislative branch, which is supposed to make the law. We have an executive branch, which is supposed to enforce the law. And then we have a judicial branch, which is supposed to interpret the law when there's conflicts and ensure that there's justice and when there's a controversy. And which means that judges have a very limited role. We are not supposed to make policy. We're not supposed to put our thumbs on the scale of justice and say, oh, I like this person better than I like this person, even though the law might go one way. We shouldn't be looking at the backgrounds of people or trying to influence society in an active way. And unfortunately, we have right now a majority on our Supreme Court, which really has, because remember, 5 of the 7, I'm not sure if I said this, 5 of the 7 were not, I think I did, were not judges until they got on the Supreme Court. Okay. So they weren't selected because of their long experience as a judge. They were there for other reasons. And unfortunately, you can see that now in the decisions that they're making. And I think they're being way too active and influencing public policy. Mm-hmm. And we really need to back away from that.
That's interesting, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. So thanks for sharing.
Certainly.
Judge Warren, you talked about imbalance in the system, like both the parties should have an equal stake. At the same time, this race is a nonpartisan race.
Yes.
So what would you like to tell our voters why it is important for them to vote and why you?
Okay, so we have a very unique system in Michigan. If you go to Ballotpedia and you look at how justices are put on the ballot when they're elected, there are 49 states and they put them in different buckets. And then we have Michigan, and they literally call it the Michigan method because we're the only one that has this system.
Okay.
And our system is you are put on the ballot for a statewide election after you are nominated by a party convention. So I've been endorsed and will be ratified by the Michigan Republican Party. Mm-hmm. But when my name shows up on the ballot, there's no R next to my name. I'm nonpartisan, just like you said. So it's this very weird hybrid system. And so there's a lot of confusion. And so many people go in and they'll vote straight ticket and they're not voting for the justices.
Right.
And so they need to actually flip the ballot over, find a name and fill in the circle to be able to cast a vote for that. And this election, there are 2 justices that are currently on the Supreme Court that are running again to keep the seat. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be people that are opposing them. And so I'm one of the opposing folks. And so the first thing is that the Supreme Court, you need to vote on the Supreme Court race. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's absolutely true. I think it's the most important race because you can vote for the governor that you want to.
Yeah.
You can and get them elected. You can vote for the legislator that your state representative, your state senator, get them elected. But if the Supreme Court has the ultimate say, it's the ultimate veto on what's going on with legislation and our constitutional rights. So things like public safety, criminal justice, the right to property, your parental right as a parent to direct the education of your child, how our business climate, all those things are, in the end, controlled by the Supreme Court. And so now we have the 6-1 court, and so the decisions are going the way that you would expect it to go.
Right.
And so we really need to raise the visibility of the race, make people aware that when they cast a partisan ballot, they're not voting for any of the Supreme Court justices, and to make an informed choice on who they would like to see on the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. And do you see this as a disadvantage because the dropout rate might shoot up? Well,
it's very difficult to get people's attention on the Supreme Court race, right? We have, and this year is very unusual because we have no incumbents for governor. Yeah. We have no incumbents for U.S. Senate. We have a lot of congressional races that are competitive. The House and the Senate in Michigan are up for grabs. And so everybody's focused on this stuff. And then they go, the Supreme Court thing, it's not important, doesn't capture people's attention. So my job, and I thank you for helping me do it, is to raise awareness that this is an important race. You need to pay attention to it and cast a vote.
Oh, absolutely. And very interesting time in Michigan. The governor's changing. A lot of Congress men are running again. And you have been out there talking to voters. Like literally, you're pretty active with connecting with people from Michigan. What is your feel and experience at this point?
Well, my message has been very warmly received. I think when I tell people that it's a 6-1 court, they go, what? They literally are shocked. Yeah. And when I tell them that 5 of the 7 justices were never judges before, literally jaws drop, and people are like, well, how could that be? And I'm like, well, there was a time when both of the major parties would only nominate people that were unquestionably qualified for the court. They had been a trial court judge, or they'd been a court of appeals judge. They had depth of experience. They were real legal scholars. And that was the dominant way of, it was a prerequisite to get on the ballot. And then over time, that became less important. And so now we just have lawyers that became justices. And so it's very concerning in that fashion.
Right. And 400 trial is a big number, Judge Warren. I don't think anybody's even closer to that. How do you plan to draw from that experience and make it more congenial for people from Michigan?
Well, I love jury trials. So that's just the jury trials. I think I have like 420 now. And first thing is, as we said at the very beginning, some people have this real reluctance of serving on the jury. They get this jury summons, and their reaction is not, hooray, I've been picked for jury duty. It's usually, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to do this. I give a speech at the beginning of every jury trial that I preside over that explains the importance of the role of the jury. And I'll give you a little snippet of it. So when we declared independence, there were most people, you ask, why do we declare independence from the greatest empire the world ever seen? And you might get taxation without representation. You might get quartering of troops. That's about it. So there are 28 reasons why we declared independence. Those are called grievances. I've written a whole book called The Revolutionary Words That Forged America, The Definitive Guide to the Declaration of Independence. It goes through the Declaration line by line, word by word. Just got published in April. And so it goes through all 28 of the grievances. And one of the grievances is the suppression of the right to the jury. So what was happening was the British were clamping down on the Americans. And normally if you're accused of a crime, you'd be tried by a jury of your peers from the county in which the alleged crime occurred. So I'm an Oakland County Circuit Court judge. All the crimes that I preside over, the trials, come out of Oakland County. And that's how it was supposed to work. But the British were passing the Tea Tax, the Stamp Act, the Boston Port Bill, a whole bunch of things that were very oppressive. And they changed the rules of the game. And they said, we're not going to have those cases tried by juries in the colonies. We're going to have them tried by judges, either in Halifax, Canada, or in London, England. So they'd ship people overseas. And those people, again, didn't have a jury. The judges were appointed by the king and would serve at his pleasure, which meant that if the king didn't like the judge's decisions, he could fire them. And so imagine if Joe Biden or Donald Trump could fire every judge they didn't agree with.
Anybody,
And if they found you guilty, they would take your property and they would sell it, and then they'd get a cut of the proceeds. Yes, very corrupt system of justice. So we rebelled against that. And John Adams, the leading patriot to the American Revolution, he wrote that of all the offenses of the British, even worse than taxation without representation, was the suppression of the right to the jury, because it struck at the heart of justice and liberty. So we protected the right to the jury in our Bill of Rights in the federal system and our Declaration of Rights in Michigan. Now, getting back to your question, one of the things I like to do
Mhm.
on the Supreme Court is raise up the awareness of our right to a jury
Yeah.
and explain why it's so important.
Yeah.
Some people have told me I'm an educator at heart. I'm a teacher at heart.
You are.
And so, one thing I just did for Oakland County Circuit Court is we have an introductory video that was terrible that we gave our jurors. That was from the Supreme Court Administrator's Office,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very boring and it was repetitive. And so they said, Judge Warren, would you please do what you do for the jury pools and put it in a video so that we can play it to all the jury pools? I'm like, yeah. So I just did that. So for the general public, in addition to trying to bring more of a balance to the court, I'd like our court to be more of to embrace its role to help educate the public about our system of justice, our constitutional rights, our unalienable rights, why America is a miracle.
Right.
And I think that is overshadowed and ignored by the current Supreme Court. So I'd like to increase that emphasis. The one thing I will give them credit for is they do have a learning center at the Supreme Court, which I think is a fabulous project. It could be elevated. I'd like to help with that. They also recognize Patriot Week, which is something my daughter and I started when she pounded on the table as a 10-year-old and demanded a new celebration for America. And that goes from 9/11 to 9/17. 9/17 is the anniversary of the signing of the Constitution. And so, to their credit, the Supreme Court has adopted Patriot Week resolutions in the past, but they haven't done a whole bunch with it. So I think there are opportunities for the Supreme Court to be more involved with the public in an educational way.
That is so interesting, and I'm so glad that you brought this up. I was going to ask you that judicial system education is extremely important for our young Americans who are probably too busy scrolling through their reels, doom scrolling, Facebook, Instagram.
Right.
So I think this is something which is really important, and that this approach actually stands you apart from all the other people that are running for the same position.
You took the words out of my mouth. Nobody else is doing this kind of stuff.
You have that educator in you.
Right.
That's driving that, right?
Yes. So I've written 2 books. One is called America's Survival Guide: How to Stop America's Impending Suicide by Reclaiming Our Founding First Principles in History. I know that's a long time. America's Survival Guide.
Yeah.
And that was about how we as a nation have forgotten our founding first principles. Well, that's a threat to our survival as a free people. It goes through the American Revolution, the Constitutional Convention, Civil War and civil rights struggles, and then it's a set of recommendations about what to do about the crisis. And again, the revolutionary words have forged America. I'm a shameless self-promoter when it comes to this book. I'm sorry.
And where can we access this
So
book?
we can get this on Amazon.
Okay.
You can type in Judge Michael Warren, Warren, or the revolutionary words. It'll pop up. And so far, I've gotten all 5-star reviews, so that's great. So I take this very seriously. I'm very, very impassioned about the uniqueness of America. I mean, I guess I'm going to turn the tables. I assume you're not born from America.
Oh, absolutely.
Where'd you come from?
India.
Okay. Why did you come here?
It's a land of opportunity. I got a job in GM. GM treated me right. America treated me right. Now this is my turn to give back to America.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
See, I know we have this raging debate about immigration.
Yeah.
But for people like you that did it the right way and have come here, you're the strongest patriots because you know why America is so different.
Absolutely.
And how precious it is. And then we have some native-born people that take it for granted and are actually engaged in self-loathing and just hyperbole and negative attacks on our foundation. There's no question.
Or maybe feel entitled to a lot of things.
And entitled, yes.
Entitled, right?
Yes, absolutely. They don't understand the sacrifices that prior generations have made to make our country.
Yeah. And
instead, they're entitled and resentful because those prior generations weren't perfect. The focus, this book, The Revolutionary Wars of Fortune, is very pro-American. and unabashedly so. There's no question that when we started, we had slavery, we had racial discrimination, we discriminated against men that didn't have property, we discriminated against various religions. But our founding first principles, which I recited earlier, about equality, unalienable rights, and the social compact, those paved the way for us to make all the progress that we have. And when we were in 1776, everybody had slavery. This was not unique. It wasn't like just America had slavery. Everybody had slavery.
Yeah.
But what made America unique is we said all men are created equal.
Yeah.
And then people said, well, if all people were created equal, then we can't have slavery. And that's why we had the abolitionist movement and all the other movements that we've had. So somebody like you can be a tremendous successful person in Michigan, which wouldn't have happened in 1776, but now can. Yeah. And so we should give we can certainly criticize our founders, but we should also give them credit where it's due.
Oh, absolutely. I feel so blessed to be here, and Michigan is a very accepting state.
Yes.
So I'm a true Michigander now.
Love it. That's great.
So, Judge Warren, you talked about, I think you have seen corporate side of the legal system. You have seen the other side. What are the top 2 or 3 categories of cases that you come across that are pretty common?
Okay, so I am Oakland County Circuit Court. That's a county-wide position, and we have 20 circuit court judges. And our jurisdiction is felonies, family law cases like divorces and child support, that kind of stuff, and civil cases involving $25,000 or more. I have a criminal docket, so I have something as mundane as credit card fraud, which is very serious, to armed robbery, rape, and murder. I have all those kinds of cases. And then I have a business court docket.
Yeah.
So it's a business fighting a business, or owners of a business fighting over the business, those kinds of things. And so my most common criminal cases are operating while intoxicated third offense. We get a lot of those. Okay. Because those are felonies, and unfortunately people are still struggling with alcohol use while driving. And we also have a lot of assaultive crimes, criminal sexual conduct, like I said before, murder. I've tried over 25 murder trials. So that's a pretty varied docket. On the civil side, on my business court docket, most of my cases are breach of contract cases, or there will be shareholder disputes where they're fighting over the management of the company. Okay. Now, when I say breach of contract cases, they always feel like they need to add 8, 9, 10 other counts. Okay, and they'll have all these counts in the complaint. I keep telling lawyers, please don't do that. It doesn't help your case. Yeah. Focus on the real thing at issue. Yeah. There's a couple counts, not 20, but most of them are breach of contract cases. Yeah.
That's good to know. Your campaign talks about bringing balance to the bench.
Yes.
Throw some light on that, please.
All right. So, as I said before, we have a 6-to-1 Democrat-nominated bench on the Supreme Court. So that would change. We also have only 2 people that were ever judges before they got on the bench. So I would bring that experience to the bench. I think that's extraordinarily important. My perspective on the role of the judge is that the judge is supposed to enforce the law as the people understood it at the time it was adopted, either the ratifiers of the U.S. Constitution, the voters when they adopted the Michigan Constitution, or the legislature, and that we shouldn't twist words or ignore pieces that we don't like or try to amend things. That's a different perspective than what the 6 have right now. Yeah. So I will bring that. And as we just talked about, I have a lot of business background. I was I was at a major law firm called Honigman Miller. Okay. I was a partner there, and I was in the corporations department, and I did many mergers and acquisitions and contract drafting, and I'm on the business court now. That's all missing mostly from the Supreme Court as well. So I bring a lot of different things to the court. And then as we talked about, bringing the scholarship to the court and my passion for education.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. So Michigan is clearly preparing for a new leadership starting November. It's exciting times.
Yes.
Do you have any governor candidate that is your personal favorite and
All
you'd
right.
like to absolutely support?
So as a judge, we had this very awkward position because I'm a nonpartisan, and as a judge, I'm not allowed to endorse any partisan candidates. So I don't have. If I had a favorite, I couldn't tell you who it is. So what I would tell your voters and viewers is that make sure that you do your research on them.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of 10-second ads and things like that. Try to do a little bit more research on who they are and what kind of policy they will bring, and don't let your emotions kind of override your brain in connection with how you vote.
Cast your vote wisely.
Right, cast your vote wisely. And it's difficult because I know many of the candidates, and they're all really supportive of me. They are great, and they come up to me and they
I
compliment
think everybody
me.
likes you, right?
I hope
you have
so.
that person, that aura that people connect very
Oh.
easily with you.
That's very kind of you. So they tell me how much they like me, and I say thank you very much. And I can't return any favors because of the position I'm in. I can't ask for money.
Yeah.
So we're in a very unique position. If you want to learn more about me, though, you can go to judgemichaelwarren.com. And again, the book is on amazon.com. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time
Oh, you're
today.
welcome. Thank you.
Wish you good luck with your race.
Thank you. God bless you and God bless America.
Thank you so much.